because I feel like she is, because I was there when she was born, even though she didn't come out of me. But I feel like she's mine.
You can't convince.
Tamela Mann is still fighting for her life. And last night, David Mann finally broke his silence after weeks of hiding behind hospital walls. What he revealed wasn't just painful, it was devastating. It wasn't about rumors anymore. This was a man on the edge, watching the love of his life drift further away with every beep of a machine. And now, the truth is out. Tamela's condition is far worse than anyone imagined. And David's emotional confession has left fans across the world shaken. This story didn't begin in the ICU. It began with a weight loss journey that captivated fans and made headlines. Tamela had slimmed down. She looked healthier, stronger, and full of life. But no one knew what her body was hiding. Doctors now believe that the dramatic transformation weakened her immune system, and not long ago she was hit with a rare and dangerous infection, one that spread like wildfire and brought her to the brink. Inside the ICU, machines hum constantly. Her heart is still beating, but her body is fighting a war. Nurses whisper to one another as they adjust monitors. Doctors walk in and out with grim expressions. And David Tamela's rock for decades is completely shattered. He's been sleeping in a hospital chair for days, barely eating, barely speaking, just praying, until the silence broke. 2 nights ago, the infection spread again. Emergency tests were ordered. Her fever spiked. Her breathing worsened. And something inside David cracked. He picked up his phone, turned on the camera, and live-streamed from the dim hallway outside her ICU room. His voice was hoarse. His face was soaked with tears. And for the first time, he spoke the truth. "She's not okay," he said. "She's fighting for her life, and we need you all to pray." That moment exploded online. Tens of thousands watched live. Others saw it later through reposts, screen recordings, and reaction videos. Even critics who doubted the seriousness of her condition were moved to tears. But David's message didn't stop there. He said something else, something much darker. He hinted at betrayal, at the lies that nearly broke Tamela long before the infection did. It turns out this wasn't just a medical emergency. This was a full-blown collapse physically, emotionally, and financially. And it wasn't by accident. Behind the scenes, Tamela had been pushed to exhaustion. Brand deals, TV appearances, cooking shows, and interviews were lined up back to back. Her body was screaming for rest. But the people around her, managers, promoters, even so-called friends, kept pushing. She was the product, the brand, the machine. And David was caught in the middle. Protect his wife, or protect the empire they built together. For weeks, David begged insiders to stay quiet. He didn't want fans to know how bad things really were. He feared it would kill her brand, destroy their income, and spark chaos. But secrets never stay buried. It started with a blurry hospital photo. A relative snapped it and leaked it to a private prayer group. Then it spread like wildfire. Blogs picked it up. TikTok lit up. Posts poured in. Pray for Tamela. They're hiding the truth. And David could no longer pretend. Family members started talking. Texts leaked. Some claimed Tamela's organs were shutting down. Others said David was in talks with a tabloid, trying to sell exclusive photos to cover mounting medical bills. Then came the fake fundraisers. One scam page raised over $50,000 in Tamela's name, supposedly for her treatment. None of it reached the hospital. The money vanished. When David found out, he reportedly punched a wall so hard hospital security rushed in. That was the moment the quiet, church-going David Mann disappeared. And the furious, protective husband emerged. He started calling people out. old managers, booking agents, wellness companies who used Tamela's face to sell detox teas and miracle candles, concert promoters who advertised tributes in her honor and never sent a dime to the family. He uncovered private messages, contracts, and deals made behind their backs. One of her former business partners tried to organize a gospel concert with $250 front-row tickets and $100 bottles of blessed oil. David shut it down the moment he saw the flyer. Meanwhile, doctors warned that Tamela's lungs were in danger of failing completely. If they didn't improve soon, she'd need another surgery riskier than the last. David collapsed in the hallway when he heard that. He dropped to his knees, whispering prayers as nurses and even janitors bowed their heads with him. Then, something changed. David invited one trusted gospel YouTuber to the ICU lobby. No press, no photos, no live stream, just one quiet moment. The YouTuber returned, visibly shaken. He described seeing David holding Tamela's hand, softly singing, "Take me to the King." Tamela's lips moved ever so slightly. Her eyes didn't open. But she was still there, still fighting. Fans around the world felt it, a shift, a spark of hope. But the battles weren't over. Within hours of David's live stream, someone posted old financial documents online, trying to paint him as the villain. They claimed he mismanaged Tamela's money. David responded with fire. He went live again, this time with his daughter holding the phone. Calm, clear, and angry. He named names, told stories, and revealed that Tamela once performed 5 nights straight with a fever, while others cashed checks and ignored her pain. Backroom deals, fake prayer chains, missing money. David had receipts, screenshots, contracts, emails, and according to insiders, he's prepared to leak them all if these people don't back off. Behind the scenes, lawyers are preparing lawsuits. David is reportedly planning to sue every person, company, and organization that profited from Tamela while she lay unconscious in a hospital bed. And if she doesn't recover, then he has nothing to lose. Doctors say the next 72 hours are critical. If her lungs recover, Tamela could wake up fully. If not, the outcome could be tragic. She remains semi-conscious. Occasionally, she squeezes David's hand. Sometimes she whispers the lyrics to her own song, but nothing is certain. Only one thing is clear. Time is running out. Right now, this isn't about contracts or revenge. It's about a woman who gave everything to the church, the music, the fans. And now, she needs that love returned. No fake donations, no overpriced merchandise, just real, raw, desperate prayer. So, if you've watched her perform, if you've ever cried to her songs, if her voice ever touched your heart, this is your moment to give something back. Leave a prayer in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe for updates, but more than anything, say her name tonight. Out loud, with love, with faith. Tamela Mann is still fighting for her life, and David Mann is done playing nice. David Mann's late-night confession sent shockwaves across the gospel world. His live stream ended, but what followed was a storm no one could have predicted. Hashtags lit up social media within minutes. Pray for Tamela. David speaks. Everyone was suddenly paying attention. From fans to pastors, everyone claimed to be standing by Tamela. But behind the Instagram prayers and public statements, the truth was far more disturbing. Sources close to the family say many of these so-called supporters had been silent for weeks. Not a call, not a visit, not even a text. And now they were posing in prayer circles, posting dramatic Bible quotes, and using Tamela's name to boost their platforms. If hypocrisy could heal, Tamela would have left the ICU by now. The moment David's confession went viral, the vultures came flying in. People who hadn't checked on Tamela in months suddenly showed up at the hospital. Business managers, former agents, even long-lost friends. They claimed they were there for support. But staff say they were more interested in branding, profits, and how to protect their stake in Tamela's legacy. One promoter reportedly pitched a tribute concert within days of David's live stream. They said proceeds would go to the family, but insiders revealed not a single penny was sent. Even worse, companies began promoting healing candles and Tamela's detox kits, using her image without permission. Desperate fans, especially single mothers and elderly supporters, began buying these items, believing they would help. In just 72 hours, a fake fundraiser account collected nearly $50,000. The money vanished. The person behind the scam disappeared. When David found out, hospital staff said he exploded. He punched a wall. Nurses rushed in. Security was called. That's when it became clear. David Mann wasn't just a grieving husband anymore. He was a man ready to go to war for his wife. From that moment on, David began digging. He reached out to contacts, searched through emails, old contracts, recordings, anything that could expose the people who had used Tamela's name for profit. A nurse whispered to a relative that David was overheard cursing out 2 former managers over the phone. These same individuals had been negotiating deals behind his back, using Tamela's illness to make quick money. But the most shocking betrayal came from a fake prayer chain. An Instagram page popped up the moment the ICU news leaked. It posted emotional verses, blurry hospital images, and a donation link. Fans gave what they could: rent money, grocery money, savings. Most believed the money was going toward Tamela's recovery, but none of it did. The account was traced back to a fan club president who hasn't been seen or heard from since. David's fury reached its limit. No more quiet prayers. No more smiling through the pain. He began preparing what insiders call a digital hell folder, filled with contracts, screenshots, receipts, and audio clips. If those behind the scams didn't back off, he was ready to leak everything. Then came a cryptic Facebook post from David. When you love someone, you protect them, even if it means burning bridges built on lies. Fans knew what that meant. He was done protecting fake friends and greedy handlers. Online, people chose sides. Team David was everywhere. Supporters filled the timeline with messages, prayers, and promises to expose the scammers. But others weren't so kind. Some trolls accused David of hiding the truth. Others posted theories, blaming Tamela's condition on her weight loss or claiming David was covering up medical neglect. A TikTok video went viral, accusing Tamela's wellness endorsements of being part of a scam. Real women got sick trying to copy her, one user claimed. The comments exploded. Some defended Tamela, others blamed her. And just like that, the woman lying in a hospital bed became the center of a digital war. But the most shameless act came from 2 gospel reality show producers. They reached out to David's manager, offering a limited series about the family's journey through crisis. They wanted hospital footage, tearful interviews, and a concert finale. David didn't respond. He blocked them. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, lawyers began getting involved. David's patience had run out. The contracts Tamela signed years ago, many under pressure, some allegedly manipulated, were now under review. If Tamela didn't make it, David was prepared to expose everything. Family insiders say the lawsuits will be brutal. Some major gospel figures are already scrambling. They know David has evidence, emails, voicemails, even photos that could reveal how they used Tamela's name to grow their platforms while ignoring her pain. One pastor is allegedly panicking. He pressured Tamela to perform at multiple church conferences for love offerings that never reached her account. The money reportedly went toward a new sanctuary project. Meanwhile, Tamela's condition remains critical. Doctors are working around the clock. Her infection is aggressive. Her lungs are still weak, but she's fighting. Nurses say she occasionally stirs, even whispers lyrics from her own songs. One staff member said she heard her barely mouth the words, "Take me to the king." That moment shattered the entire room. And David? He hasn't left her side. He sleeps in the corner of her ICU room, clutches her hand when she twitches, and prays out loud even when no one is listening. So what happens next? Will David go public with the names of those who betrayed them? Will lawsuits be filed? Will the shady wellness brands disappear before they're held accountable? One thing is certain. Tamela Mann is still fighting for her life, and David Mann is preparing for the fight of his own. Not just for justice, but for the woman who gave everything and now needs everyone's help in return. This isn't about music, or fame, or brand deals. This is about a woman, a voice, a soul, and a husband who refuses to let her down. David Mann's heartbreaking live stream was only the beginning. As the world waited for updates on Tamela's condition, something darker started to unfold. The drama behind the scenes wasn't slowing down, it was growing. And when David posted that cryptic message on Facebook about burning bridges, some people got nervous. Less than 24 hours later, someone fired back. A folder of the Mann family's private tax records was anonymously dropped onto a gossip forum. The person behind it tried to twist the story, making it look like David had mishandled money from Tamela's tour. But whoever leaked it underestimated him. David wasn't going to sit back and stay quiet. He fired back immediately. That same night, David went live again. It was after midnight. His youngest daughter held the phone. His tone was calm, but his words were sharp. He started naming names. Without shouting or pointing fingers, he told the world what had really happened. Tamela, he said, had performed 5 nights in a row with a fever. She should have been in a hospital. But instead, she was on stage. Because the people around her, people she trusted, pushed her to keep going while they collected checks. The gospel world went into meltdown. Fans took screenshots. TikTok clips spread within minutes. The truth was hitting harder than anyone expected. Inside the hospital, the real fight continued. A staff member quietly sent a message to a relative. According to them, doctors told David something terrifying. If Tamela's lungs didn't improve by the next morning, they would need to move forward with a much riskier treatment. A surgery that could go either way. David broke down in the hallway. He couldn't hold it in anymore. He clenched his fists and prayed out loud. The sound was so raw, even a passing janitor stopped and whispered, "Amen." That's how real it had become. But while David stayed beside Tamela, others outside were moving fast to protect themselves. One gospel conference organizer, the same one who had used Tamela's face on flyers, got spooked. He reached out to David's legal team, offering a donation to help with hospital costs. But insiders say it wasn't a donation. It was a bribe. A silent offer to settle everything and make the problem disappear. David reportedly laughed so hard that nurses down the hall heard him. Online, things were spiraling. True fans flooded timelines with prayer chains, candle posts, and handwritten letters sent to the hospital. But other critics, trolls, and skeptics began spreading even more theories. Some said Tamela had pushed herself too far for fame. Others hinted that David was covering up mistakes. One viral TikTok claimed that the same health products Tamela had promoted contributed to her downfall. Still, David stayed focused. He didn't respond to the noise. But behind the scenes, he was building something. A folder full of contracts, text messages, voicemails, and emails. Insiders say he labeled it Judgment Day. It wasn't just for revenge, it was for truth. If Tamela survived, she would finally know how many people had been feeding off her pain. And if she didn't, David was ready to burn it all down. Then came another betrayal. One of Tamela's former business associates quietly began planning an event, a massive healing concert, in her honor. Front row tickets were set at $250. For an extra $100, fans could purchase a bottle of blessing oil. The event promised that all proceeds would go directly to Tamela's recovery. There was just one problem. No one asked David. He found out when a fan sent him a flyer. Within hours, a cease and desist letter was sent to the venue. The concert was canceled before it even got announced. But in the middle of the chaos, something deeply human happened. David made a quiet decision. No cameras, no press. With approval from Tamela's doctor, he invited one gospel YouTuber into the ICU lobby. Not for exposure, just for truth. That YouTuber came out shaking. He described seeing David sitting beside Tamela's bed, holding her hand and softly singing, "Take me to the King." The machines were still beeping. The lights were dim. But then he saw something. Tamela's lips moved, just a little, as if she was trying to say, "Amen."